So it is with lot of women. Do you fear the fear of judgment? What other people will think? ये बहुत सारी महिलाओं को ये problem होता है. So that is the only limitation that women have mostly, because they are afraid of others' judgment. And strangest secret, the Earl Nightingale says that you should have your own reasons. आपके अपने रीजन होने चाहिए, वजह होने चाहिए कि आप कोई चीज क्यों करते हो, राइट? सो ये सबके लिए ये प्रॉब्लम्स है, स्पेशली फॉर वुमेन. आई वुड एडवाइज कि ये फियर ऑफ जजमेंट थोड़ा सा आपके लिए बहुत खतरनाक है, बिकॉज यू आर अंडर द सोसाइटल प्रेशर. आप सोसाइटी में यू आर ए एंकर पर्सन ना, आप से सभी कोई डिपेंड करते हैं कि आप एंकर पर्सन हो, आप पकड़ के रखोगे सारे चीज. यू विल नॉट स्टार्ट इनोवेटिंग समथिंग. इनोवेशन हमेशा ही एक रिस्क होता है. न्यू थॉट्स सोचना, न्यू थिंकिंग इज ऑलवेज एन रिस्क. तो नॉर्मली लेडीज को नहीं एक्सपेक्ट किया जाता है, एंड वी आर ऑलवेज अंडर दैट प्रेशर कि हमसे जो उम्मीद है क्या हम वही कर रहे हैं. आर वी as per the expectation of the society, my family, my immediate surrounding and all. And इसको छोड़ दें तो क्या? So we have this kind of insecurity कि कोई हमारे सपोर्ट में नहीं खड़ा होगा, तो if I am the caretaker, if there is nobody to take care of, then मेरे existence का क्या? If this is so, then here is something Lewis always says, and he talks about the fear of judgment. So let us start with it. Can I be really honest with you? There is one fear I have struggled with more than others. It is not the fear of failure, although I have had my issues with that, just like all of us. And it is not the fear of success, although there have been growth challenges I have encountered on the journey. I am not minimizing those fears at all, but they weren't the things that held me back. From creating and going after what I wanted in my life. The one I have wrestled with the most, especially in my early years, has been the fear of judgment by others. Just a moment. See, I really like making people happy. I want to please them, not create more tension in their lives. अभी मैं किसी से बात कर रही थी, and she was taking a decision. उसको कोई decision लेना था, and that decision is about quitting a job. अभी उसकी शादी हुई है. Now, can you sense that the kind of insecurity that she will have if she doesn't have plan A, B, and C? ये प्लान होते हुए भी लोगों को insecurity होती है, क्योंकि you can only see a step forward. मतलब अभी 200 meters तक आप देख रहे हो, उसके beyond तो आप देख नहीं पा रहे हो. So why take a very risky kind of decision? अब आप चाहे किसी रिस्क में हो ऑलरेडी या फिर नहीं, रिस्क तो हमेशा ही होता है. आप चाहे एकदम से एक्सट्रीमली सेफ कंडीशन में हो, स्टिल कल क्या होगा क्या आपको पता है? एंड वो अगर होगा तो जो भी डिसीजन आप लोगे, क्या आप सबसे पूछ के लोगे, और यू वुड ट्रस्ट योर ओन गट फीलिंग? अगर अपना गट फीलिंग पे गए एंड यू हैव ए इंक्लिंग, अब आपको थोड़ा बहुत तो पता होता ही है कि आप कौन सा डिसीजन लोगे तो कैसे सोचेंगे लोग, राइट? उसको फेस करने की हिम्मत क्या आप में है? नहीं है तो आप क्या कोई गलत डिसीजन लेने के लिए तैयार हो? अपने लाइफ को क्या आप यूं ही कैजुअली ले सकते हो? ये सब सारी चीजें आपको सोचने की जरूरत है, एंड वी आर डीलिंग विद दैट. सो ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आप आज किस तरह से किस चीज को डील कर रहे हैं. सो लेट अस कंटिन्यू. That can be a good thing in many ways, but when out of control, it can also lead to detrimental fears that do do a lot of damage both to myself and others. For many years in my intimate relationships, my fear of judgment and disappointing the other person led to my abandoning myself, going against my core values and crossing boundaries I didn't want to cross in order to please them. At least that is what I told myself as I did whatever it took to make it work. Let us face it, the idea of love can cloud our own judgment because we are such chemically connected beings. But when we are not aligned with someone emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, trying to make it work is not the best path. ट्राई मत कीजिए किसी के साथ रिलेशनशिप में एक्चुअली वर्कआउट करने की. ये तो मेरा खुद का एक्सपीरियंस है. My mistake was to try to fix it rather than realize that I simply was not in alignment with the other person. That is not intended to be a judgment of the other person, but a candid assessment of how I let this fear keep me in certain relationships long after it was time to walk away. As I have worked with my therapist to understand the relational dynamics and most importantly, to see my own shortcomings, I realized I felt pressured to stay silent or to compromise boundaries. I was afraid of the relationship not working out and then being judged for it not working out. I didn't want people to think I was a jerk or to see me as the guy who breaks hearts. So I stayed in the relationships even though I knew deep down that something was off. Plus, I didn't want people I care about being angry with me or disappointed in me. So I just gave in constantly in relationships. My therapist says I was always trying to buy peace. I would get flowers or a special gift or do something to try to buy peace in the relationship. But you can't buy peace. You have to be peace. To do that, you have to set boundaries that align with your values and vision. And that is true in any relationship, whether it be with your business relationships, family, friends, or loved ones. At the core, my fear of judgment prevented me from doing the right things and being 100% authentic in who I was. As a result, I felt like I was out of integrity with myself. Here I was, not being authentic in these most intimate relationships when my entire mission was to encourage people around me, around the world, to be authentic in the pursuit of greatness. The lack of integrity began to diminish my self-confidence, which made me feel like I was living life at level 6 as opposed to 10. The self-doubt began to creep back in around the edges of my being, which only made it all worse because I knew I was allowing it to happen. This is all to say, I get it. It is really hard when you are in the moment of stress, breakup, or being fired from your job because it feels like such a big deal. It's messy, it's painful. When you are in it, it's hard to think outside of that moment. You think people are judging you, and they may very well be. You see, at these pivotal moments, the ego tells you you are not enough because someone hurts you. You will never amount to anything. You are not worthy. You are afraid of failure. You are afraid of success. You are afraid of other people's opinions. But the ego is what can block you from the flow of abundance. What I learned to do in those moments is to keep telling myself, soon I am going to have hindsight. A year from now, I'll have learned a lesson from that experience. I'll be stronger. I'll have more humility. And in 6 months, a year, or 2 years, I'll be on to something else. People will either move on with me or move out of my life. No, my friend Robin Sharma says a bad day for the ego is a great day for the soul, because the ego needs to die at different times in our life so we can purge what is holding us back. Certain parts of the ego can be powerful and positive, but sometimes we need to purge the part that holds us back and limits us to break the invisible chains posed by the judgment of others. Our invisible chains. So many people are hindered by the fear of judgment by other people, their opinions, the embarrassment, what people will think about them, what they will say about them. Why is that? Why do so many people wait decades to start a creative endeavor they have been dreaming about for so long? Because they are insecure about someone else's opinion. When I asked Dan Millman, he observed that many people feel their identity is on the line with the opinions of others or even their actual self-worth. We both agreed letting our identity be defined by the opinions of others was a mistake. But he made the point that if we focus more on how we can serve others rather than what they think of us, it's all about me. How do I look? Do they like me? How do I sound? We can move past the anxiety about their opinions. In fact, Dan calls this the God of opinion, and I think he is right. We might as well create a little idol called other people's opinions and worship it at an altar every day, because that is how so many people live their lives, all because they need the approval of others to define their identity. Dan Gilbert, professor of psychology at Harvard, makes the distinction between bumblers and pointers. Bumblers are the ones in the ring on the field doing their best to keep moving forward even though they fail often. They keep getting back up, turning and trying. Meanwhile, the pointers sit in the stands and ridicule the ones on the field. They don't actually achieve anything, but they do their best to look good. They have got all the fan bling and the most comfortable seats from which they make fun of all the people who are truly trying. They are not bumbling like the folks on the field because they aren't doing anything of significance at all. As President Teddy Roosevelt put it, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done the better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. The reality is that each of us can be a combination of critic and bumbler at times, but criticism is not deadly, even though it can feel like it at times. I'm not minimizing the emotional impact, but getting criticized on the internet or having someone laugh at you doesn't have to determine your life direction. Those people only have power over us when we let them. आप किसी को अपने ऊपर पावर दे दोगे ना जज करने के लिए, वो लोग आ जाते हैं पावरफुल बन के. इफ यू डोंट केयर अबाउट देम, उनको आता क्या है? उनको करना नहीं आता. they cannot take the steps, actual steps जिससे आउटकम मिलता है, वो उनको करना नहीं आता. वो स्टेप्स उनको लेने नहीं आते. उनको सिर्फ क्रिटिसाइज करने आते हैं। सो उनको पावर क्या देना? इवन इफ यू फेल, आप फेल हो जाते हो, बारी बारी फेल हो जाते हो, बारी बारी झुक जाते हो, ब्रेक हो जाते हो, टूट जाते हो, फिर भी चूंकि आप कोशिश कर रहे हो, आप उनसे बेटर हो। हमेशा ही ये रियलाइज करके रखिए कि यू आर द बेटर पर्सन देन द पर्सन नॉट डूइंग, ओनली क्रिटिसाइजिंग। तो उनके बोलने का इतना इंपॉर्टेंस क्या देना? For too many years, my fear of judgment drove me to want to succeed in order to prove the critics wrong. ये भी एक गलती हम लोग करते हैं, मैं करके दिखा दूंगी, चुपके से ही सही मैं करके दिखा दूंगी, ये दिखा दूंगा, ये रहता है अपने दिमाग में। हम कितना अच्छा करेंगे ये अपने दिमाग में होता ही नहीं। द बेसिक डिफरेंस इज दैट दूसरों को दिखाना, वो तो आप कभी भी दिखा सकते हो, दूसरे वैसे भी देख रहे हैं। आप जब सक्सीड करते हो ना, दूसरा देख ही रहा है आपको सक्सीड करते हुए। जब आप फेल करते हो, दैट ऑल्सो इज पार्ट ऑफ यू। लेकिन कर कौन रहा है? इफ यू आर टेकिंग एक्शन, यू आर ऑलवेज द सुपीरियर पर्सन। But that type of fuel and energy is not sustainable because the accomplishment of my goals then came from a place of insecurity as opposed to doing it because I loved it or because I wanted to inspire and lift others up. Instead of feeling proud after 5 or 10 years of trying to accomplish something and then finally doing it, I would still be depressed 30 minutes later. We run from our fears, which is why we often distract ourselves or make creative excuses without taking action. For example, one person I was coaching told me they just keep taking courses and going back to school to learn more, but never actually took action because they felt they weren't ready to pursue their goals. But no matter how much schooling and degrees or certifications they received, they would never be ready. They were distracting themselves, feeling like they needed more, something. But the reality was they were afraid of failing and being judged for it. In my conversation with Dr. Ellen Vora, author of The Anatomy of Anxiety, we discussed what it feels like when we worry about pleasing others and aren't true to ourselves. She called it giving a false yes. Here is an example she used. Imagine running into someone you haven't seen for 15 years in a store. You chit-chat for a minute and they suggest getting together next week for coffee. Inside, you immediately run through all you have to do next week and think, I don't have time to do that. It is nothing against that person, but it is a low priority for you. But instead of politely declining, you worry about that fear of judgment and hear yourself say, sure, let us do it. While your brain is screaming, say no, say no. According to Dr. Vora, that is a false yes. When next week rolls around, you either flake out and don't go, or you go out of guilt and are thinking about all the other things you could be doing. You end up low-key resenting the person because you gave a false yes instead of an authentic no. As Dr. Vora said succinctly, it's a little betrayal of the self. That was my pattern for years. आपका भी होगा ये pattern, जहाँ पे ना बोलना है वो ना बोला नहीं जाता और हम लोग हाँ बोलते हैं and actually we say no. हम इतने emphatically बोलते भी नहीं no कि सामने वाले को समझ आए कि हम actually no बोल रहे हैं। और सामने वाला क्यों यकीन करे कि आप एक्चुअली में बहुत बिजी हैं, क्योंकि आपने अपना इमेज ये वैसे बना रखा है कि कुछ भी होता है then you will find out time for them. They have taken you for granted. वो लो प्रायोरिटी में गया ही क्यों? वो जो बंदा जिसको आप लो प्रायोरिटी में रख रहे हैं, वो लो प्रायोरिटी में क्यों गया? क्योंकि आपकी जो प्रायोरिटीज हैं अभी, वो प्रायोरिटीज वो नहीं हुए, इसी वजह से ये प्रायोरिटीज बन गए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अभी फुल ऑफिस करके आने के बाद मुझे ये वीडियो शूट करना इसलिए अच्छा लग रहा है बिकॉज दिस इज माय कोर। और किसी के साथ बात करके अगर मुझे अच्छा लगता होता, अगर वैसे वाले हार्ट टू हार्ट टॉक करने वाले अगर मुझे मिले होते और मैं किसी की प्रायोरिटी रही होती तो ये मुझे ये शौक पालने की जरूरत नहीं थी. Now when I am doing this, I'm feeling very high and I'm feeling like I'm doing something great for people who I haven't seen, I haven't met. और आज नहीं तो कल ये उनके काम आएगा. So I have a meaningful mission for my future, for somebody I haven't seen. I don't know. आप में से कौन इस वीडियो को देख रहा है या फिर कभी देखेगा. अभी करते हुए लाइव कितने लोग देख रहे हैं और कल कौन देखेगा इसके बारे में मुझे नहीं पता है. बट दोज पीपल आई एम कनेक्टेड विथ, आप लोगों से मैं इसलिए कनेक्टेड हूँ बिकॉज यू आर माई रीडर्स, बिकॉज यू आर माई लिसनर्स. आपको कितना टाइम है मुझे पता नहीं, बट अभी अगर आप मुझे सुन रहे हो दैट मीन्स यू आर कनेक्टेड विथ मी. ये कनेक्शन मुझे कहीं और मिला नहीं, इसीलिए वो मेरे प्रायोरिटी हुए नहीं. और कंसिस्टेंटली कोई अगर प्रायोरिटी नहीं हुआ, कोई भी अगर मुझे टाइम नहीं दिया, रियल में टाइम नहीं दिया, देन व्हाई शुड आई परस्यू दैट पर्टिकुलर शौक. मैं किसी से बात करने के लिए मर क्यों जाऊंगी. समझ में आया. तो इसीलिए मैं ये कर रही हूँ जिसमें आपसे शायद मैं बात कर रही हूँ, मुझे पता नहीं है आप कौन हो, बट आप वो हो जो मैं जिस दौर से गुजरी हूँ आप उस दौर से गुजरे. आपको भी शायद किसी से बात करने की जरूरत है, बट आपको उसकी प्रायोरिटी होनी. तो आप ये सोच लो कि आप मेरी प्रायोरिटी हो, क्योंकि मैं आपको सुना रही थोड़ी देर के लिए ही सही, आप मेरे प्रायोरिटी हो. राइट. सो but breaking that pattern has freed me to enjoy better relationship and live with confidence, knowing I am pursuing a life of significance and service that is true to my beliefs. मुझे जो अच्छा लगता है कि ऐसे जब कोई मुझे प्रायोरिटी में नहीं रखता है, क्या वो मेरा दुश्मन बन जाता है? नो, वो मेरा दुश्मन नहीं है. इट इज जस्ट दैट उसकी प्रायोरिटीज डिफरेंट. मेरे से उसको कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं मिलता, उसके एग्जिस्टेंस में कोई एडिशन नहीं, ना ही उसके होता है ना ही मेरे होता. तो इट इज ऑल कैजुअल, कॉर्डियल, बट प्रायोरिटी नहीं. सो इट इज a big no, and I am here reading this story to you so that it will be of help to you. So the next topic is the truth about critics. Here is the truth. People will judge you no matter what you do. कुछ भी करो, लोग तो आपको कुछ ना कुछ बोलेंगे. If you sit on the couch and do nothing, people will criticize you. If you chase your dreams, people will judge you. Either way, you are being judged. So you might as well go for your dreams and do the thing you love the most. कुछ भी करने से लोग अगर बोलेंगे तो why not chase your dreams? अपने ड्रीम के पीछे क्यों नहीं भागोगे? When you look in the mirror, you should at least be proud that you gave your all on the field. No matter what the critics may say, be true to you. One question retired Navy SEAL commander Rich Divini posed to me was, how do you really know what people are thinking? आपको कैसे पता लोग क्या सोच रहे हैं? Usually you don't. You only think you do. The reality is you usually don't have a clue. Rich suggests we tend to obsess over negative things people might be thinking because of the way the brain works. We consciously lodge a question into our forebrain. Our brain immediately begins to come up with answers. I do this experiment with people in classes I teach. I say, just take a moment. I'll give you 30 seconds to answer this question. How could I double my income in the next 30 days? Anything that pops into your head, write down on a piece of paper. They generate a little list. Then I say, I don't care what the answers are. I only care how ridiculous the answers are. How many answers did you come up with? I usually get 3, 4, 5, and sometimes even 7 or 8 answers. Why? Because they launched a question to their forebrain. Whatever question we lodge in our forebrain, our brains will begin to answer. But often we do this the wrong way. We ask, why am I so bad at this? Why does this stuff always happen to me? Why are these people out to get me? When that happens, our brains begin to answer those questions, and some of those answers are as ridiculous as the answers that someone raised about doubling their income. In other words, our default answers often come from a place of weakness and fear. Our brains easily turn to survival mode, which is a fight or flight response that assumes the worst. The answers your brains generate about others may be ridiculous, but they can feel pretty real in the moment. A lot of our fears of the perceptions of others are imaginary, but some are real. People do judge you and often do so in hurtful ways, and that's okay too. I asked Joel Osteen, pastor of the largest congregation in America, televangelist, and author based in Austin, Texas, how he overcomes the tendency to feel insecure about what others think. When he started, everyone was supportive of him. But as his ministry grew, so did the critics, as he says. You can't reach your destiny without people being against you. Some people are not going to understand you. They don't want to understand you. Sometimes we spend time and energy trying to convince somebody to like us. And they are never going to like us. And that is okay. Stay focused on your race. And so what I have been good at, and I encourage other people to do, is to tune out the negativity and run your race. I believe we only have so much emotional energy each day. It's not unlimited. How much am I spending for negativity, for unforgiveness, for what that guy said, or for the guy that cut me off in traffic, or for a co-worker who played politics? That is energy that I don't have for my dreams and my goals. Life is just too short to waste any of our emotional energy on things that don't matter. Make no mistake, you will have critics. Everyone who is pursuing greatness does. It's what you do after you realize you have critics that counts. It is in those moments that you have to make a decision to shrink back or to stand up, get out on the field, and give it all you have got. Practical insights. Everyone has an opinion, but not all of them are worth addressing. I like what Priyanka Chopra Jonas told me about cultivating happiness for yourself. This is your journey and yours only. That means it's up to you to decide how that journey unfolds. If you rely on the opinion of others or their validation, it's going to be a long and bumpy ride. As she continued, if we are expecting someone else to contribute to your trajectory, it is going to be skewed. She added that if you are receiving validation from others instead of having it within yourself, or creating your own validation through the things that matters most to you, then you are always going to be subject to the judgment of others. She chooses to focus on the love, affection, and support from her family and friends and ignore the trolls. Taking pride in who we are, she noted, and what we bring to the table is the greatest joy of them all. This was eye-opening for me. Rich Tiffany suggests another way to push past fear and change our trajectory. The quality of our lives are directly proportional to the quality of our questions. We ask ourselves questions on a consistent basis. If they are negative, our life is going to suffer. Conversely, if we ask ourselves better questions, our life improves. And the first thing he asks himself is, what a better question here? If It sounds counterintuitive or even sarcastic, but asking a better question halts the negative thought process and creates a new trajectory. And whether it is comparing yourself to others, why are they so much more or better than me? Complaining about circumstances, why does this bad thing keep happening to me? Or wondering about the future, when is this ever going to uh, change? The answer is to ask a better question. सही सवाल कीजिए आपसे कि इसको कैसे मैं अलग कर सकती हूँ, अलग रिजल्ट दे सकता हूँ. To counteract negativity and stop worrying about what people think of her, Dr. Wendy Suzuki, a professor of neuroscience and psychology at the New York University Center for Neural Sciences, has a process she calls joy conditioning, based on her 25 years of studying how memory works and applying all of her knowledge to addressing anxiety. The process is a direct antidote to a fear conditioning, which she says we all experience by default. Joy conditioning takes no training at all, simply a willingness to look back on your life. As she described it, joy conditioning is mining your own memory banks for those joyous, funny, or any of your favorite positive emotional events in your life, and consciously bring them up and relive them. In essence, it's all about mining your life for positive emotions and flooding your mind with them. Dr. Suzuki says the secret to doing this is to think of a memory with a scent component, a smell that sticks in your mind. She gave me the example of a particular time she attended a yoga class. It was an invigorating experience, but the best part came when the instructor put lavender lotion on her hands, waved them in front of Wendy's face, and gave her a short but relaxing neck massage. It stuck with her so much that Wendy now carries a small bottle of lavender essence and uses it for a pick-me-up. It is a simple way to condition herself to joy and push past the negativity. You can do this for yourself. Think about a joyful memory, bonus points if there are good smells involved, and use that to combat the negative thoughts. Whether it is drowning out the negative opinion of others with positive opinions from those you trust, asking better questions that pull you out of the negative spin cycle, or joy conditioning so you stop living fearfully, you can and must make the decision to step past the fear of judgment. You only get one shot on your quest to greatness. Don't let the negativity of others derail you. Engaging greatness. Before you engage with the activities in the fear conversion toolkit at the end of this section, ask yourself some simple question. To what extent do you struggle to overcome the fear of the judgment of others? How has this fear held you back wholeheartedly pursuing your meaningful mission? List any fears of what others think now while they are fresh in your mind. So this was chapter number 6 and so profound. कितना अच्छा लगा. दूसरे का हमको लेना ही नहीं है ओपिनियन. Don't take shit of others. अपना सोचिए एंड क्या होगा जब आप कोई स्टेप लोगे, क्या होगा? एक फेल्यूर ही तो हो सकता है जिससे हम डरते हैं. एंड उस फेल्यूर से दूसरे क्या सोचते हैं उसका फर्क क्यों पड़ना है? क्योंकि आप अपने फियर को, अपने फेल्यूर को आप डिफाइन कर सकते हो इन लर्निंग. आपकी लर्निंग कोई और देख नहीं सकता. जो नहीं हुआ वो देख सकता है, बट नहीं होते हुए जो आपके लिए हुआ है, the learning that you have gained is enormous. वो किसी के साथ आपको शेयर आप चाहे तो करें, लेकिन नहीं कीजिए for the time being till the so called success happens. And फिर आप इसको प्रोजेक्ट कीजिए, then you become a hero. क्योंकि जब आप फेल कर रहे होते हैं, कोई आपके साथ नहीं होता है, बट थोड़ा सा भी कोई सक्सेस अगर आपके साथ हुआ है, थोड़ा सा छोटा सा, then that should motivate you to do better, more. अच्छा, और सबसे अच्छा क्या है जानते हैं? आप अपने स्टाइल में करो. It doesn't have to be other style. इस दुनिया में कुछ भी एक टाइम की इसके उसके प्रॉपर टाइम पे अप्रिशिएट होता है इफ यू आर कंसिस्टेंट एनफ। ये आप याद रखो, ये मैं खुद को भी बोल रही। आज अगर नहीं हुआ है, आज अगर दूसरों की तरह ये नहीं है, स्टाइलिश नहीं है, बहुत प्रोफेशनल नहीं है, बहुत सोफिस्टिकेटेड नहीं है, जो मैं नहीं हूँ, स्टिल whatever I am, however I look, however I sound, और कैसे भी मैं दिखती हूँ, साउंड करती हूँ, फील करती हूँ, नहीं करती हूँ, all that will be appreciated after some time। क्योंकि परफेक्ट दिखते दिखते आदमी परेशान हो जाता है। हर आदमी को कोई ना कोई मोमेंट चाहिए जब वो अप्रिशिएट होने का पॉसिबिलिटी ढूंढता है, एंड दैट पॉसिबिलिटी विल कम इफ you are yourself and offering that particular moment to a person who is watching, right? So thank you for watching, and I'll come back with another video soon. Thank you.